This book, it's upside down. This will explain everything, or you can just do a quick Google. But no, you do not have to cook your veg. I actually do raw pack. You know what? By the time I pull everything out of the garden, wash it, trim it, do everything I need to do, I don't want to cook it too, okay? Hey guys, and welcome to my kitchen. I'm so happy that you're here with me today. Today I just want to talk a little bit about canning. I have a bunch of green beans over here that I need to can up. And yesterday I spent 9.5 hours from start to finish on 36 pounds of carrots. No, we're not going to talk about carrots today, but I posted my carrots on the social media on a canning group. And they're like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. What's your method? Can you share it with us? I know there's lots of videos out there. I just wanted to give you my take on the canning. First of all, I want to tell you, I'm not an expert, okay? This is my very first year canning my garden. I have water bathed for years. I've done pickles and jams, okay? But last year, I decided to get the pressure canner. I practiced. I did some chicken soup and some beans. And this year I'm doing my garden. I want to show you that you should not fear this pressure canner, okay? These new pressure canners are very, very safe. They, just on top, let me start by saying that I have a Presto 23 quart pressure canner, okay? If you have another canner, I cannot help you with that. Let's start with this canner. Down here at the bottom, I have it filled. I don't know, you can see this line here. Don't look at my gross nails. I've been pulling veg. Down here at the bottom, there's a line. I filled that up to the line. Okay? These are canning racks, okay? These canning racks, one of them goes in the bottom, and it sits in the bottom of your canner, and that keeps your jars off of the direct heat of your oven, your stove, sorry. The second rack would be if you wanted to do a double stack of pints. You can't do it with the quarts, but you can do it with the pints. Moving ahead, this is our lid. Now, I don't know if I can show this on camera. I don't know if it's gonna, but this right here is a steam vent, okay? This is a steam vent. The very first thing that you want to do before you start canning is you want to look and see if you can see through any light through that steam vent. If you cannot see any steam through that vent or any light through that vent, do not use it. You can take a toothpick, you can try and blow it out. This has to be 100% clear. This right here is your pressure gauge. Now I know in my area that I have to, can between 10 and 11 pounds of pressure. So I want to make sure that it stays between that 10 and 11. In this video, I'm going to be giving you some frequently asked questions. This is a frequently asked question. If my pressure drops below what my pressure should be, what should I do? Unfortunately, you'll have to bring it back up to pressure and restart your clock. You want to make sure that everything that you can is being canned at the same exact pressure for that amount of time. This is your sealing ring, okay? A lot of people, they like to keep this oiled. This keeps a nice seal between your lid and the bottom canner itself. So that's what that gasket is. This right here is your air vent / lock. So when you're canning and your pressure starts building, it gets really hot in there, this will go up. And this will stay up until it is safe to open your canner. Do not ever attempt to open your canner until that is down, okay? This will lock into place. Now, the very, very first time that I canned, I did chicken soup, and I was like, this sucker, it was like 3.5 hours later, I messaged my aunt and uncle because they can. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? It was stuck up. He goes, oh, it's probably just stuck. Tap on it. And it was fine. but usually it takes a good 45 minutes to an hour before you even want to open your canner. Okay, this is the best safety feature right here. This is your overpressure plug, okay? Now, this means that when the pressure is building and your regulator is possibly failing, this will pop out and all the pressure will escape. Your canner won't blow up. It shouldn't blow up. I'm not going to say 100% it won't. Maybe this could fail. It's rare, but this will pop out, the steam will escape, and everything will be okay. You'll just have to figure out why everything was too over. This little guy right here, this is your pressure regulator. So I'm going to go through the steps when I do my green beans back here, but after this vents out, we put this regulator on top. It'll fit on there nicely, and this, it'll kind of jiggle, and it'll regulate the pressure inside of your canner. If it doesn't fit on there, sit on there properly, you need to get a replacement. Every single one of these parts, from the gasket, the vent, the gauge, all of this is replaceable. You can get replacement parts. So that is your pressure regulator. Okay, so we're gonna get started. The very first thing that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna turn on my pressure canner. I'm gonna get the heat going. That way my water is hot and it'll match the hot water in my jars. You never wanna take cold water and put it in hot water, or hot water put it in cold. Your jars will crack. So let's get that going first. Here are my beans. I'm just gonna work to get these cleaned. I've had them soaking in some cold water. I also spray a little bit of Thieves, Young Living Thieves. If you don't know what that is, it's a natural cleaner. And I'm just gonna get them chopped up and ready for the jars. I've got my beans all cut up here. Now, I decided to go ahead and do pint jars only because I did put some quarts up and I would like to have some pints. I'm going to be using pink salt. Iodized salt reacts. I'd have to look it up. There's a reason why you don't want to use iodized salt. Canning salt is fine. Any other kind of salt that you want is fine. You don't even have to use salt. I like to put maybe half a teaspoon in my pint jars. So let's do this. Okay, I've got my beans filled and I've got my water in my kettle boiling. Now, another frequently asked question is, do I have to follow the headspace? And the answer is yes. If you don't follow the 1-inch headspace, which is typical for pressure canning, you won't get your vacuum seal and there won't be enough room for the bubbles to escape. You really should follow that 1-inch headspace rule. So I'm just waiting for my water to boil. I'm gonna fill up my jars. Over here, I've got my lids and bands boiling, so they're ready to go. And we'll get these things sealed. Okay, we also want to do something called debubbling. So I don't have a proper debubbling tool. I just use my lid lifter and I put this down in there and make sure that I'm getting all the bubbles out of the jar. So a couple other questions that tend to come up is, one, can I use the oven to just seal my jars? And the answer is no, you should not do that. One, because different ovens have varying degrees, and two, the dry heat does not penetrate the way that the water does. So you really shouldn't do that. So another question comes up, can I reuse my bands and my lids? The answer is yes and no. You can reuse your bands as long as they're not severely rusted, and you cannot reuse your lids because the compound, it becomes indented, and so it'll cause for some sealing failures. Also, do you have to sterilize your jars? Anything that's processed over 10 minutes, you do not have to sterilize your jars. Just wash them with some hot soapy water and you're good to go. So now over here, I'm just going to get all of my lids and bands on my jars and get them ready for the canner. Chances are you know this if you're coming from water bath canning to pressure canning. But when you put your lid on, you want to do it finger tight. That means you just screw it on. This one's going to give me a hard time. Hang on. You just screw it on and then just finger tight. You don't want to tighten it. It's just enough so that the water will still escape. Also, I just used hot water, so I didn't go through this step, but you should go through and wipe the rims and always check for any cracks, chips in your jars. Okay, so because my water in my canner is hot and I know that my water in my beans are hot, I'm gonna go ahead and start stacking them inside of the canner. So for your second tier, you will need another canning rack. You can only do these with pints. Quarts, they won't fit. Now we're ready to can. So, right here, so I can bring you down here, we want to line up this arrow. I don't know if you can see this right here. This is the arrow that we want to line up. So when we go to close it, we're going to, and we made sure that our vent was clear. We could see through it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to crank that flame up and we're going to wait. This is going to come to a constant steam. Depending on how hot your water is and how high your stove can go, it can take from probably 10 to 20 minutes. But you're going to notice you're going to have a constant high stream. Okay, guys, here we go. It's a little hard to see with my white background, but if I put this rag behind it, you can see that is a good steady fast stream of steam. Now that's called venting. We have to do this for 10 minutes. Alexa, set my timer for 10 minutes. The timer went off and this thing is a hissing. This is normal. We have a real good steady stream. We vented it. That scares me a little bit. Now we get to put our pressure regulator on. It doesn't scare me because it's dangerous, but because I have to put this over the steam vent. Here, I'll put you on this side. So this is our vent where the steam's coming out of, and I have to put this over top of that. So I just use a rag so I don't burn my hand, and it caps it. Now we're on. Okay, now I leave mine on high until I start to see my gauge rise. I can see we're already going up. So once I get up probably around maybe 5 or 6, I will turn it down. You will learn how your stovetop works. We're gonna let that rise. Just an FYI, that steaming and that venting total took about 35 minutes to get up to the proper steam. Wait the 10 minutes. It was about 35 minutes total. don't rush this. Pressure canning can be a lot of fun. It can be very rewarding, but you can't rush the process. You have to make sure you have. I want to show you in here. This water here is totally normal, and also, your regulator will jiggle. So don't be alarmed if you see water coming out of there or out of here. It's totally normal. It's been about 3 minutes, and now we're up almost to 6 pounds of pressure. So I'm gonna take, and I'm gonna move this back. Wait, what did I spill on that? I'm gonna take and move this back about halfway. So that way we slow it down a little bit. Just take it slow. Remember, if you're going up too fast, just inch it back. You don't want to just turn it down, because it doesn't work that way. You're working with pressure in there. So when you turn it down, it's going to take that much time to come back down. So it's better to go up slowly. You might see it go over 11 a little bit. Well, then just knock it back a tiny bit, and maybe it'll come back. Like I said, you're going to learn how to operate your own gas. Okay, so we've reached, we're just about to 11 pounds of pressure. So I'm going to take, and I'm just going to bump this back a little more, and I'm going to watch it real close. Please don't walk away from this. You have to sit and keep an eye on this. You can't, this isn't something you can just go outside and let it be. Get a chair, relax. It'll be over before you know it. It's been a couple minutes, and I'm hanging out just between 10 and 11 pounds of pressure. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start my timer. Alexa, set the timer for 20 minutes.
20 minutes, starting now.
And I'm just going to make sure that this stays at 11 pounds of pressure for 20 minutes. This is an awesome book, The Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving. There's a nice, I think it was just on it, 388 green beans. It talks about headspace. It talks about debubbling. I was going to do quartz. Quartz are 25 minutes, but we are going to do pints at 20 minutes. And I know for me, with my elevation, I'm at 11 pounds of pressure. Now, some people are 15 pounds of pressure. You have to Google that. You need to look that up and see. It's not hard to find. So this isn't too bad, but it's gone up over 11 pounds, just a smidgen. So just a smidgen. I'm just gonna bring this back because I don't want it to keep climbing. I want it to come back down and sit at 11 pounds of pressure. This looks like sugar or something. I don't know what the heck that is. We have 2 minutes left. We've been sitting right there at about 11 pounds of pressure. I want you to notice too that our lock is up. So even if we wanted to, we could not open this. And everything is running smoothly. Okay guys, our 20 minutes are up. I'm gonna hit this. We're gonna go off. And our pressure is going to fall. We're gonna watch it go down. I'm not gonna sit here the whole time, but this pressure will Whatever fall. You do, don't force this. Don't try to open up. Don't try to pour water on it. Just let it be. You've come this far. All you have to do is let it sit. And that goes for this guy too. Don't take that off. Let it be. Okay, here we are 25 minutes later. We're just about at the 0. And our lock is still on. So what I want to say is even after our lock goes down and we hit 0, do not remove your lid at all for 45 minutes. Okay. So in the canning world, there's a term called siphoning. Siphoning is when there's a rapid change in temperature and pressure, and the liquid would be siphoned quickly out of the jars. You don't want this to happen. Leave that be. It's already been 25 minutes. The lid's gonna unlock. 45 more minutes after that lid unlocks and you should be okay. Okay, you just saw our little lid lock go down. It's been 27 minutes. So now I'm gonna set the timer and we're gonna wait 45 more minutes before we even touch this. This will help prevent
Hey
siphoning.
guys, we did it. It's time to open this up and see what we've got.
Regulator off. It's hot. Our lock is down. Very carefully, and this is hot still. I mean, it's been over an hour and it's still really hot. No broken jars, that's a good sign. Okay, you can still see we're bubbling. We're real hot in there. No breakage. Everything looks good. I'll show you with some of my carrots. I did open the lid a little bit sooner than 45 minutes and I lost some water with the second batch. So that could have been
So
a little
another
bit of
common
siphoning.
question, another frequently asked question is, do I have to recan if my jar loses some water? And the answer is no. As long as you don't lose more than half. Now, you may notice some discoloration in the veg that's above the water, but as long as it's sealed and you have more than half of the water, don't worry about it. Another question, how long will my canned goods last on the shelf? The common answer to that is 1 year. However, for me, I have used things 2 to 3 years old and they're perfectly fine. You have to watch out for certain things. Example, I'll use this because it's cold now. It's been 24 hours now. Do not store your jars with the bands on because the bands, especially if they're on there tight, will keep the lid from being able to pop off. If the lid pops off, bacteria is in there and we're talking about botulism. So as long as you remove your ring and this is on there, it's not coming off, it's tight, label it, stick it on your shelf, keep an eye on it. You know, if it's discolored or it looks moldy, then don't use it. And also, it depends on how you store it. Store it in a cool, dark, dry place. You don't want it sitting on your countertop in a light and bright kitchen that's hot. We don't have air, it's 90 degrees. My basement stays fairly cool. We run a dehumidifier, so I know that it will be, that would be the best place to store it. One more frequently asked question is, what happens if my jar doesn't seal? Recan it. You have 24 hours to recan that. Check your jar for chips, cracks. If maybe you didn't use a new lid. There are many things, but you have to do it within 24 hours. If you don't, use that veg up within 2 to 3 days or throw it in the freezer and you'll be fine. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe for future videos. As always, I appreciate it and I'll see you next time.